Did Kyle find something with their offense that we saw, especially in the second half with the rhythm? And again, they weren't finishing at the end, but they did score on every drive except for that first one where they missed the field goal. Did they find something? Hey, we're glad you're watching this video. Subscribe to this channel and give the video a like. We appreciate it.
Yeah, 55% of you are watching this and are not subscribed, so make sure you do that, as well as do our podcast below in the description.
We're sponsored by Tito's Handmade Vodka.
#1 vodka in America.
Offensively,
you see the quote,
Kyle finds something.
You see the quote from Garoppolo after the game that he said, I mean,
did it have 17 F-bombs in it?
No, his only had about 4 with a couple shits that Kyle called a hell of a game. And I think the moment, like, that Debo play happened, like, let's face it, that's a good play call. It's a better play by Debo than the play call. I mean, it was a remarkable play. Like, that's not like, I mean, you get credit for the play call. I mean, Jimmy gets credit for 83 yards as a pass play, even though it probably traveled at most like 8 yards in the air. I guess maybe a little longer because the field's 53 yards wide, so it's probably 20 yards in the air. But the point is that play gave them some momentum, and then they were able to get to the run game. And this is the one with Kyle. Like, I don't love it. I would like to just have him be able to have a game where he can call 40 pass plays and the flow of the game looks like an Andy Reid game or a Sean Payton game. It's just not really his offensive style. His offensive style is very predicated on outside runs. I would say more just the run game. He has an erection for outside. To me, his favorite play in his playbook is either some sort of, he did it a lot today, the pitch play, where it feels like Juszczyk's in motion, Trent Williams almost pulls, and he is the strong side tackle to lead up. He loves that play. And there's a tight end over there. Like that, to me, when I think Kyle Shanahan run game, I think that. Obviously, the outside zone's a big deal too. But the pitch play, and it might have just been as simple as like, well, it's had a lot of success this year, just getting our guy in space. Elijah Mitchell's good in space. But when he could get that play going, then everything off of it felt to come. And we were, I saw someone ripped part of our video and tweeted it out last week of you and I talking at my place about why isn't anyone open? And I think it's hard for, like, Kyle does his best work when you're just all out stop the run, and then he can pick you apart with some play action stuff, drag guys across the middle, hit guys in stride across the middle that get those yak yards of a slant, a 7-yard pass play turns into 18 yards. And then all of a sudden you get an Elijah Mitchell 15-yard run, a slant play for 18 yards, and you're like, oh my God, did we just travel 40 yards in 2 plays? Where when they've gone through ruts, it feels like they travel 3 yards in 7 plays. You're like, we're going nowhere. And then today it felt when you get chunk explosive plays, and for whatever reason, I mean, it's not for whatever reason, Kyle's offense loves the run game, and it's what his whole offense is predicated off of. They get a lot of explosive plays in the run game.
Yeah. But you could see what the mindset was on the first drive, right? Where they came out and threw on the first 3 plays. Obviously, on the first third down of the game, the connection to Sanu, they had to throw the ball. It was 3rd and 10. But they tried to get the ball to Ayuk on the second play. I mean, he made a couple efforts, tried to get Ayuk on that kind of screen that there was the block in the back on Juszczyk, and it got blown up anyway. It didn't really
I bet
matter.
they like the matchup, and I like Jalen Johnson. I'm sure you do. I'm sure everyone does. I mean, Utah, tall corner. But he's not a speed demon, so I bet they
Central High School, Central Valley.
No shit. I didn't know that. If you can get a guy Ayuk in space, could he just beat him with speed? And they tried to do that a couple times. It just didn't. And they tried to go at him at the goal line. Clearly, they like that matchup.
It's happened a few times this year, though, where they try to get it out to Ayuk in space, and somebody just clips him, and it goes for 3 or 4 yards, or he doesn't get a block, and it hasn't quite worked the way you think. They'll keep trying it, I would imagine, but it hasn't quite worked. I don't think.
He's actually faster than I thought. I thought he was going to be like a 4.58 guy. He ran 4.5 at the combine. So
Jalen Johnson,
yeah, good player. I like that guy. Yeah, second round, 50th pick.
So three and done.
He's a good player.
He was a true junior when he came out, I think.
I mean, he's good, but I didn't know. I didn't realize he was quite that fast.
Yeah, he was a premium. I think he was like the top recruit at the time that Utah had ever signed in terms of like rating coming out of high school. But Ayuk on the Ayuk on the 2-point. I mean, it had a rhythm again, right? And you said to me, like, look, go watch Kyle's post-game speech, 2 minutes long, like 2:05, heavily edited, like edited out some things. They don't bleep, they just drop the audio on an F-bomb or shit. I counted 19 F-bombs or shits from him or Jimmy in the 2-minute span. So that's about one every 6.5 seconds or so.
Jimmy came strong with his like 10-second performance.
Well,
He
it's
dropped a bunch.
contagious. If the head man's doing it, you got to do it. But he mentioned Ayuk. He said, Jimmy's had his back like the rest of us have been up against the wall. Like he's aware, obviously, of what the perception is.
Well, I mean, he lost 4 straight games. Like it's pretty obvious in the building, right? But it's not even like what the Kawakami's writing or what me and you were saying. Like he's lost 4 fucking straight games. So you don't even need
it's
to
not
read
a secret.
anything.
No.
Yeah.
But I do think he's aware. I'm not saying he's aware of like specific things that are said, but he understands that the feeling is different than it was at other points in his head coaching tenure when they were also losing games. Like this one's different than it was for all the other times. And, I think they let it rip a little bit early in the game. He tried to with the pass game, and then they got their rhythm.
I did think watching all of his press conferences post the Colts game.
Oh, and Ayuk had the punt return. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he had his best game of the season by far.
Let's take a moment to tell you to go to overland.com/ham and get in some well-made, beautifully crafted, and very comfortable slippers.
And do you guys want to win money like Guy and I have been doing for about the last month? Just go to mybookie.ag, promo code HAM and the number 1. Get your gamble on. Just from just like God, he looked really good. It helps when the ball's in his hands. Novel concept, throw, get him the ball.
Yeah, because not every play's going to work, so do it again.
Listen, it's not as aggressive out here with media scrums. Like, it takes specific incidents, right? I remember going way back to Harbaugh when the story broke about him getting traded. It just started getting contentious in the group. This week, the media, just the questions he's getting asked, it's not quite Philly or New York, but it is as uncomfortable as it gets for the West Coast with Kyle all week. Ask about every situation, a lot of stuff about how the fans are feeling. Like, so, it's kind of in his face a little bit with everyone coming from, Mayoko. Mayoko, I thought, put on a pretty good performance the last 7 days of drilling old Kyle. That's just the nature of the sport when you lose 4 games. And that's where we're going to this game. I thought, I kept thinking, Guy, Kyle Shanahan is going to lose 5 straight games. How many coaches, like top coaches, and we can debate all we want, and his record now is 32-39. But just a guy who has the financial security as Kyle, who went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Like, do you think Andy Reid's ever lost 5 straight games? Sean Payton's ever lost 5 straight games? Bill Belichick, 5 straight games? Even with an extra game, that's a fucking shit. I mean, Jesus. 5 straight losses? And I thought, I didn't think it was a lock they were going to lose because they're still playing a rookie quarterback. And I'm like, I don't know how Kyle's going to get out of this thing. And until that Debo throw, I was not very optimistic. How could you have been? I mean, they haven't won. The team was just the field goals. Like, you can't just keep kicking field goals.
No.
What faith did you have in Jimmy of, like, leading touchdown drives? And then he just, Kyle kind of got his groove back with the play calling, and they have felt very specific on good drives this year. It's clear what a Kyle Shanahan good drive looks like, and that's why I go back to the running game. And that's what makes me a little nervous is sometimes you just can't run for 140 yards with one guy, right? Now, maybe Kyle would just say, hey, it's not necessarily about the yards, it's can we just be effective with the run game for me able to call the plays, and I can get my quarterback in much more comfortable positions if we can just be effective on drives with the run game. We don't need to run for a total of however many yards they had today. They ran for 145 and averaged 5.6 a carry. If we just run for 100 yards, so 40 less, but on specific drives, get first downs with the run game, get a couple 7-yard runs, then I can keep them on their heels and I'll be fine. But if we're running in games for 50, 60 yards, our offense is going to be in trouble because that is where a lot of other teams can have a lot of success. Like, a lot of teams can win games when they run for 60 yards and their quarterback's going to throw for 400. That's not the way Jimmy Garoppolo and the Niners are set up, right?
No, I mean, 322 today, but 83 of those on that, the pass to Debo on that tunnel screen. So it was really 239 outside of that play. But didn't you feel like they made a concerted effort to throw the ball down the field more in the game? Because I texted you early.
They hit Debo on the big one before the end of the half.
Well, the second play of the game was the shot to Ayuk.
Took a big shot to Ayuk. Yeah, they took several shots today.
Now some of it they were in some 3rd and longs, but I thought they made a concerted effort to push it down the field a little more. And I texted you early in the game, like kind of making a joke, like you want them to throw the ball downfield more. Then you see them throw the downfield throw, and they're not connecting on it, and all of a sudden they're in a 3rd and 10. I mean, that's
Eddie Jackson hasn't been really that great actually since Fangio left, but he is, I mean, their starting safety, who's a playmaker in theory, went out. Like, was that like the first series of the game?
that was
he
the
grabbed his
Ayuk
hamstring?
throw. Wasn't that the
Yeah.
Ayuk throw? Play
Well,
number 2?
was across the middle to Ayuk, where Eddie's kind of chasing him.
Yeah,
whatever.
That was,
I mean, it was the first series of the game. Eddie Jackson goes out, so maybe you just know they have a backup safety, and you're just more inclined to take shots. Would they have taken shots with him as consistently? I don't know.
yeah, you're saying maybe it was dictated by the defensive personnel.
Which is a smart thing to do, right? You see it a lot, like when a starting corner goes out, and Joe Buck will be like, "Well, they got this 6th-round rookie coming in," and then the next play it's like Tom Brady's going right at him. Like that's what you should do when you get a weakness, you exploit it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what else did they do today? Why do you have success on the edges? Well, 52, one of the best run defenders of my lifetime, who would have had the edge. Like, it's a little harder for Dwelly and Juszczyk just to contain the edge, right? Or McGlinchey, he ain't there. Run the shit out of the edges. So I give Kyle, you're going to spend all this time game planning. They took advantage coming into the game, kind of. I mean, they got their flow, but they knew that this guy's not there, so you could hammer it home. And they adjusted well as the game went on.
And now you get Kittle back, hopefully.
And now you get Kittle back, yeah.
Right.
Like you said, hopefully. He's eligible to return.
Yeah, right. And Kyler, what did Jay Glazer say about Kyler?
He said 1 to 3 weeks, but you and I both, before
Ankle
we hit
sprain.
record on this, I wouldn't put I don't expect him to miss the game. Not saying he won't miss the game, but we'll just wait and see this one. Yeah.
Right.
Though I do think the Niners are owed this, right? They've given a lot of teams 7 million guys to miss games over the last couple of years.
Yeah, they might be owed it. I wonder, is there such a thing as a carryover? Does finding something against one team offensively, when it's not anything new, it's just getting back to doing what you do efficiently, does that carry over when now you're playing a different team who's better, right? The Cardinals are better on defense than the Chicago Bears are. The Niners,
they're missing a guy right away. JJ's out for the year now.
And JJ's been good. But like early in the game at one point, or maybe it was around halftime, I think the Bears were whatever they were on 3rd down, like 5 of 6 or 6 of 8. The Niners were 2 of 6. Well, what's 2 of 6? It's 33%. Well, guess what? The Niners are a 31% 3rd down conversion team. That's what they are. The Niners and the Bears were tied. I mean, percentage points. The Niners were 29th. The Niners were 30th. The Jags are 31st, and the Bears are 32nd in 3rd down conversions coming into the game. It was all 32-point-something% or 31-point-something%. So that was part of their issue. So the question is, like, is there more confidence? Is there more confidence in Ayuk now than there was to force the ball to him? Right? I don't know. Like, that something has to carry over. Like, your rhythm doesn't just carry over into next week automatically because you had it on Sunday. It doesn't show up with you.
And this goes back to what I said at the beginning. The good thing for the Niners, unlike the Bears, who have a rookie quarterback and an offense that have been putrid for years, and the Jags, who are, a joke. They lost 31-7 today. Like, they're just not very good. The Niners, while they haven't been good this year, do have guys on the team that know what good is, right? Jimmy has led good drives. Trent Williams, an elite player. McGlinchey's been a part of good drives. Alex Mack, Debo, Ayuk. Like, these guys know what good, productive. You get Kittle back. Now, and then you find in this rookie, that just immediately, I don't know, Elijah Mitchell looks like a 5-year veteran playing.
He looks the way he looked in college when we watched the tape, John. To your point, good players who know what good football looks like. Runaway Turtle on the stream quotes Nick Bosa post-game. Bosa said, according to Runaway Turtle, this could be a made-up Bosa quote, I think the offensive line took this one to heart, and they thought they could be playing better this season, and they showed what they could do out there.
I don't think it's nothing either that Trent Williams, who had missed a game, clearly had missed practice this week, up until like Friday, I didn't think. And then all of a sudden he went to, was back at practice and he played. That to me was a huge deal for the 49ers, just to get probably pound for pound your best player. You see, they're at the Warriors game. And they announced Debo Samuel, and he's sitting next to Trent Williams, an 8-time Pro Bowler. And then later in the game, they show him on the Jumbotron, and Trent's like, fuck, you already missed me. Screw you. You don't get to come back. I love Debo Samuel, and Debo's becoming a star, but I'm an 8-time Pro Bowler. You see how much Google my contracts.
He's wearing a pendant, right? Like a diamond-encrusted pendant around his neck. That should be a tip that's somebody sitting there. And it's not like He's
huge.
He's massive. He's massive. But that's the way it is, John. Behind the face mask, no one gives love to the offensive lineman. And I guess the mask. But they also tweeted out a photo like 19 problems in the building, and you see like, Trent Williams' shoe. It's just like, damn, no respect.
Yeah, don't get any love.